Well, hello, everyone. If you've landed here, you've landed on Let's Talk News. I'm your host, Leticia Remauro. And today we are going to talk about all the great things that are happening right now. We're going to talk about Democrats and how they back themselves into a corner. And not just Democrats, but the woke, because there's not all Democrats. We're going to hear from prominent Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, who actually gives us a scoop on the Democrats. But if you've been in your social media, I'm sure you've seen that Democrats are taking every opportunity to, right from the get-go, right from February, to say that this is a forever war and that we're losing and Iran is winning and, the price of gas and oil, because we already know that Democrats in Congress, at least, don't care if Americans suffer pain. What Democrats in Congress care about is that they have power, and they think that the way to get power is to lie to not only their constituents, but to all of America and all of the world. And they also believe somehow that the stuff that they say does not last forever on the internet because they keep flip-flopping. And I guess if they do believe it lasts forever on the internet, they think that people are too stupid to remember what they said yesterday. So we have a lot of things to talk about today. We've got Fetterman, we've got John Kirby from the Biden administration that we're going to talk about. But we're going to start off with somebody we all know and love, my political daughter, Nicole Malliotakis. And we're going to talk a little bit about what she did in Congress the other day, and what the Democrats did. So we're going to start off by saying hello, Kevin Wall. How are you? So good to have you from the other side of the world. Thank you for making it at 8:00 our time. Hiya, Colleen. I'm actually not feeling better. I'm actually feeling like crap, but I would feel worse if I wasn't here talking to you guys, because what I've been doing for the last almost 7 days now is fighting with trolls online, and that is a bad place for me to be. I don't ever spend as much time on social media as I have in the last 6 days. It just drives me insane. Hello, Kevin Young. Good to have you. Hello, Francine. Good to have you. I thank you all for being here. We are so super slowed down because I took those 5 days in a row off. So hopefully, we'll get a little traction on this show. But if not, please share the show and show it to your friends. And if you get a chance, stop over to YouTube and help us out. The algorithms are so terrible. If you miss even a couple of days, they ding you. And then, of course, I have 1,000 trolls on my channel who keep on reporting me for stuff. So that doesn't help the situation either. But anyway, I'm glad for those who are here now. So let's talk a little bit about what happened in the past couple of days. Well, first, before we get to Nicole, I just want a reminder for Mitch McConnell, John Thune, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, pass the fucking SAVE Act, Save America Act. This is from the Maricopa County Recorder's Office. I want you to see this. This is their press release put out on their website. Recorder's Office identifies 60 non-citizens who previously voted in Maricopa County using federal SAVE database. Okay. 60 non-U.S. citizens voted. And the way they found out was because they sent their voter rolls to the federal government and this into the SAVE database. And the SAVE database compared them to the citizen rolls. With the only entity that can make that comparison is now the SAVE database. And they found that 60 people voted in past elections. You might say, that's not a lot. No, that may not be a lot. But if one vote from a non-citizen is cast in an election, that means your vote is canceled out. So either we're a country of citizens who have the right to vote, set rules and laws and all that, who have the right to vote, or we're not. We have to make a decision. So I say, pass the fucking SAVE Act now. I've had it up to here. That's why Democrats are losing so badly. Yeah, well, the thing is that they're gaining seats, and that's why, because we don't know what these voter rolls look like, and if they didn't think that all of the people that Biden let in crossing the border were going to vote Democrat, then they wouldn't be posturing. They wouldn't be standing in the way of the SAVE Act. And while we're at it, Democrats in the Senate, fund the fucking ICE, fund DHS. Let these poor people, let all of us have our lives back. All these people traveling for spring break, all these people trying just to travel, and the lines are around the corner. At a certain point, we are all going to have to just say to TSA, we're going to take our chances. We're all getting on, whether you like it or not, because these poor people aren't showing up to work, and why should they without a paycheck? Ralph, how are you? So good to have you back. So very good to have you back. What happened? Okay, I'm having issues. La, 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 la. That's one county. Imagine 60 on every county. Yeah, well, add it up. There's 62 counties in New York. There's I think 130 in Texas. There's 40 some odd in South Carolina. Yeah, I don't know how many in California. Probably plenty. Aloha from another stormy day in Hawaii. Saw the EU caved in and now want to keep the Strait of Hormuz open. Trump played them. Oh, he certainly did. And he made them all come out of the woodwork. The cretins that they are, the little cockroaches. He made them all identify themselves. What Trump did with that Strait of Hormuz situation was he made them all stand up and be counted. That's like the Scots and the Brits used to pledge fealty to their chieftains and a lot of others. That's what he made them do. He wanted to take what roll call of who our real allies were. And did you see him today? With the leader of Japan, the prime minister of Japan. Oh my gosh, she gets out of the car and jumped into his arms. It was wonderful. Democrats at most have always been the advocates of apologies, which are directed to those who hate America most. We are. I mean, it's just amazing to me. But John Fetterman has a lot to say about his party. Hi, Susan. How are you? 100 counties in North Carolina. Okay, so there's 6,000. Just average 60, right? What I think about now in New York, I mean, all right, Arizona is a border state, but that's not where they all settled. I wonder what Minnesota is. Oh my God. But they won't turn over their voter rolls. Hello, Andrew Dorman. Okay, so anyway, so this is what happened. So Nicole Maliotakis, and I've been discussing this with her. I told her I want to be on this board. She announced she's been working really, really hard to create a women's museum on the mall. And I think that we've talked about it in the past. And so finally, it came to committee. She finally convinced the president. She convinced Johnson. She's got already a bipartisan board. And this would go on the mall. And it's a women's museum. So it came out of committee yesterday, but 4 House Dems voted against the Women's History Museum bill because the bill stated only biological women could be honored by being presented at the Women's Museum. Can you imagine? We talked about this a little bit last night, that the Dems voted against it. Riley Gaines retweeted Nicole's tweet. A Women's History Museum is one step closer to the National Mall. It passed out of committee, but only along party lines after an amendment was added to ensure it honors real biological women, not men identifying as women. Yes, that's where the debate in 2026 is. And that's the lines from the bill that say that only biological women can be honored in the museum. And no women who are trans and are men can be honored either. I don't think it actually made that comment, but who knows? Maybe they would if they're only biological women, and they do something fantastic. But I mean, just really, how many more things are women going to voluntarily give up to men in the pursuit of women's, or in the guise of women's equality? This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. I mean, really. Close to 200K at 60 average. Okay, yeah. There's our accountant. Hi, Angela Ricca. Good to have you. I'm supportive of a Veterans Month. Everything else gets a month. Why not us veterans? Well, I don't understand why November isn't Veterans Month. I guess it's because it's election month. So I agree with you. I think that veterans, listen, here's the way I feel. I pay taxes. I pay a lot of taxes. I would be fine and cool if half the money that I paid in taxes went to our military and our veterans. Half of everything I pay. And I think that if you ask Americans, they would say the same thing. If half of the money, first of all, you got to get rid of the corruption. Get rid of the corruption first. And then half would go to military and veterans. I think the people would support it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. Let's move on a minute. Actually, I probably want to show you something too. I mean, speaking of taxes, hang on a second. I want to see if I can grab this. Yeah, I can. I'm going to show you something. Next time somebody tells you that Trump lowered taxes for the top 1%, I want you to tell them this with absolute authority and confidence. The top 1% of earners paid less tax under Biden than they did Trump. Okay, so this is historically what the top 1% paid. Under Reagan, 25%. Under Bush, 27 to 28%. Under Clinton, 37%. G.W. Bush, 38 to 40, Obama, 39 to 40, Trump, 42 to 46. And then when Biden came in, even though he hired 87,000 IRS agents, they only paid 40.4%. And I think that yesterday we talked about the fact that that the only people who actually brought the taxes down on the middle class through legislation was Reagan, Bush, and Trump. From where we were at our high at 19% under Carter. So, let me just say something. I mean, and why am I arming everybody with this stuff? Because I've been fighting with these trolls online who, I don't know, they Google, I don't know what they do. I don't know where they get their information. I don't even know if they really care if it's factual, but they're putting out so much shit and people are just buying it, and we have to stop buying it. Veterans sharing with election month seems appropriate. Well, okay. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Because protect our rights. Yeah. Hate has overtaken the moral compass of many Americans. TDS is only part. Oh, you're absolutely right, my friend. Absolutely right. Okay, but I want you to hear John Kirby. And I want you to hear what he has to say about the war.
Take a step back and look sort of a broader picture at this war, the way it's been carried out so far. We have seen an evolving explanation from the administration about why it's being carried out, about why now it was begun as well. And part of it centers around the idea that Iran is weaker now than it has ever been, and that this prevents a nuclear-armed hostile regime in Iran. In your view, is that worth it?
I think, first of all, I'm not shedding any tears about the loss of the supreme leader or the pressure that the regime is under. I get behind nobody in my hatred of what the regime has done in the region and to the Iranian people. It is unclear because the messaging on this has been sort of all over the place. It's really unclear to know and to be able to take confidence in the fact that this was something that really did present the kind of imminent nature of a threat that needed to be responded to as quickly and as swiftly as it was. And I think we need to have more information before the American people can really make a judgment about that.
If it does result in regime change, though, to a regime that has been hostile to the U.S., hostile to U.S. allies, is that worth it? I mean, if President Biden had had a chance to assassinate the Ayatollah, would he have taken it when in office?
Let me put it this way. If, as a result of all this, a government can be formed in Tehran that is responsive to the needs of the Iranian people, a government that they have a vote, that they have a voice, that they get to install, and can bring them into the community of nations, which so many young Iranians really want to do, then obviously that is a good outcome of all this.
Someone who was responsible during your time there in the Biden administration for managing the message and communicating with the public, what do you make of how this administration is talking about this war?
Well, you know, when you hear the Joint Chiefs Chairman, General Kane, do his briefings, they're very thoughtful, they're very contextual. He's keeping it to the facts and the figures, and he's being very realistic and pragmatic about what we're doing and the resistance we're facing, the retaliation by the Iranian military, and he lays it out pretty clearly. I think it's really important when you're talking about issues of war and peace that you're direct and simple and concise with the American people. They need to know, they deserve to know how their military is being used in their defense.
Okay, so why did I choose that clip? Because I wanted you to hear Kirby trying his best to criticize the administration, but he flip-flopped all over the place. You know, he said that the message was all over the place, but then he said that the Raising Cain was very clear and concise. So which was it? And, you know, and I clipped out part of it for time, but when she asked him about if Biden would have taken the shot at the Ayatollah, and he says, look, you know, if we could get a regime that's you know, free and all this stuff, you know, then I think it's a great thing. He then went on to say, but, you know, history shows us that doesn't always happen. So he tried to walk that line. And to me, that's a win. You know why that's a win? Because I rather have him give 10 shekels and take 4 back than him giving, 10 monopoly dollars. You know what I mean? Then just condemning Trump. And because he is a rear admiral and he understands war, and because he knows through Obama and Biden's both administrations knows how bad a player Iran is, I think it was worth us all listening to him for a little bit. Zelensky is proudly saying he has sent 250 anti-drone experts in support of Trump's administration in the Straits. Yeah, well, but he's been with us right from the get-go. He told us a long time ago when we were making the deal with him, you know, for the ore and everything, the metals or the whatever we got from them. He told us that he would share that technology, and he's very proud of it. And they are going to have, they're going to have a great relationship. They did in 45, and they're going to have have it again. I took it as the messaging of MSM is all over the place. Also, she really tried to bait him to bash Trump, and he didn't go for it. Yeah, that's the whole thing. You know, I mean, and like I said, I cut it for time, but the whole interview was not overall a bad interview. And I want to also now give you a CNN. That was PBS NewsHour. I want to give you a CNN piece, but I want you to listen to what this guy has to say. You know, he was all over Trump in a negative way, but listen to what he has to say.
Because, I mean, Iran, they obviously need the Strait also. I mean, they have oil they need for their own economy, but their willingness to cut it down, I mean, are they willing to sustain the pain, the economic pain of that more than the U.S. is willing to?
At the moment, Anderson, this is a population, it's a regime fighting for its life, and the advantage that dictatorships oftentimes have when they're fighting against democracies is that they have contempt for public opinion. They don't care that their poll numbers are way down. And in fact, a lot of what Iran is doing right now is trying to impact U.S. public opinion. They pay very close attention to the fact that only 1 in 4 Americans is seemingly supporting President Trump's war, and that's why they continue to try to spike the price of oil, create explosions throughout the Persian Gulf, and hoping Americans are going to restrain President Trump's ambitions.
Okay, so they're hoping that if they drive up the price of oil, Americans will turn on their president. That's what they're looking for. They're seeking a regime change. That's what they're seeking. That's what all of the global elite are seeking, a regime change. So why would anyone criticize us when we are seeking a regime change? The Ayatollah killed 35,000 people and then just hung 3 more protesters. Well, I don't want to bore you with my perspective, but I want you to listen to John Fetterman about the war.
To your point about the Strait and America looking for assistance to support the activities, the commercial oil activities through the Strait, NATO allies have largely said no. Is NATO at risk?
I'm proud to be an American, and I believe, we are a force of good in the world. And I truly don't understand why they don't want to join us to reopen the straits. But if you consume oil, that makes it part of your problem, and that makes you a part of your responsibility to join us. So we've done the hard work at this point. And the horror of 10/7 was borne by the Israelis too. Now they've done the appropriate thing to destroy the proxies and to hold them fully accountable. And now why the world can't rally around this to just do that. Now, I do believe we will be successful with or without their help, but remind people that it's been 3 weeks. And now for a nation that's 90 million, that used to be this fearsome force of military in the entire region, just been pulverized into irrelevance other than just creating kinds of chaos, firing a drone there. And now they can't even fight with honor. They attack civilians. They've massacred their own. There would be more uprising because they're terrified because they've had to witness as they've killed up to 35,000 of them last time. Every single president since the last 40 some years wanted to do something about Iran. Finally, that's happened. It's a good thing.
Okay, so he said a lot there, right? If you use oil, this affects you. So you need your ass there. And we all understood that Trump was taking a head count, and that's what he was doing. The Democrats want to say he was begging. He wasn't begging. He was taking a head count, and he got his head count, and he knows who's who now. That's number one. Number two is, we watched and talked about Iran in 79, prior to 79, the history of Iran. We talked about how during the gas crisis in the 70s, how the money was flowing to Iran and how the Shah built up his military. That military, they never used any of the stuff that they had. Now, yes, of course, now all these years later, with all of the restrictions, 47 years later, they haven't been able to really get an Air Force together and a really strong Navy. But they had all those bombs. Those bombs Iran has had it for all this time. We've been doing this for 21 days, and we have basically decimated them. But to believe that they were going to keep their word to Obama, which anyway, even if they did, it was going to end in 2025. But to believe that they were going to keep their word to Obama and not try to build a nuclear weapon, those are the people I want to sell the Brooklyn Bridge to, because they're just absolutely stupid and ignorant. Drill, baby, drill. We have independent energy, and it's hilarious seeing the EU response of us pulling out. Yeah, well, they are screwed. They are screwed. And another thing that I want to remind everybody of, there have been people online talking about the fact that Trump lifted the sanctions from Russia, and that I don't think it's by accident. I think it's by design. Trump is not trying to throw the world into a global crisis. What he was trying to do is get rid of these awful dictators who were willing to kill their people, and also try to pull back on the power that Russia and China were gaining through Iran and through Venezuela and through Cuba. He's playing this brilliantly, and everybody should have confidence in what he's doing. And I know we don't love that gas is up 90 cents, $1, whatever it is. But, listen, this is a short amount of pain for our future to be peaceful. President Trump is doing the right things in memory of thousands of Americans who got slaughtered on 9/11. Theology of suicide, which Islamist groups and progressives funded and armed through Iran, is finally being addressed. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, and you tell me that the UAE, the young people aren't excited about real wealth for a minute and like pulling back a little bit on this theology shit. I mean, they love their religion like many of us do, but these religious wars, they have to stop. They just have to stop. And every war has been religious, right? Lifting restrictions on Russia is a good chess game move. I think it is. I really do. It was smart. And for those who can't see it, they don't belong in this game because they're still playing checkers and they just don't get it. They don't get the whole thing. All right. Listen to what John Fetterman had to say about the Democrat Party.
Who do you think leads the Democratic Party today?
Oh, we don't have one. I think the TDS, I think that's the leader right now. Right now our party is governed by the TDS. And now it's made it virtually impossible without being punished as a Democrat to agree something's good, or I agree with the other side. And I would define that by epic fury. I am literally the only Democrat in America in Congress that I've come across that's saying, I think it's a great thing to break and destroy the Iranian regime. I think it's entirely appropriate to hold them accountable. And what's strange to me that every single Democrat that's run for president and anyone that I know in Congress says we must never allow them to acquire a nuclear bomb. When that happens, why not celebrate that or acknowledge that? I have only witnessed just criticism and this kinds of attack. Like, yeah, you don't have to agree on every single thing, but when a good thing happens, just because it comes from the different party, that tells me that you're choosing the demand of the base or the party over country or what's really, I think, appropriate in that circumstances.
The Democrats hate him. In Pennsylvania right now, he has a 60 or 70% approval rating amongst Republicans, and the Democrats are 50-50. Think about that. They were they made accommodations for him. Chuck Schumer made accommodations for him in Congress so that he didn't have to wear a suit. And the one time he wore a suit, was for Trump's State of the Union address. He didn't do it for Biden. And he stood there to shake Trump's hand. He is the super Jew in the Senate. He is standing up for his heritage, for the people of Israel, and for the alliance that America has with Israel. And anybody that wants to criticize him, I'm going to remind them about Rashida Tlaib and Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar, who all want to stand up for their heritage and culture. Actually, Tlaib and Omar actually want to stand up for those countries, not for America first. But Fetterman, super Jew, and he makes Chuck Schumer looks like an idiot next to him. Religious freedom, yes. Doing God's wrath by human hands, I bet. Self-defense is no. Lol, they are playing TDS checkers and losing. Yeah, I mean, it's the truth. I mean, Trump is running the chessboard. He's running it. Thank God for President Trump taking control and doing what needs to be done in so many ways worldwide. You know, and that's why Kirby couldn't go too harsh on Trump, because the fact is that, you know, he's a military guy. He's been there. He's been fighting these bad guys his whole career. He knows what Trump is doing takes balls. And he knows that none of his bosses before Trump had the balls to do it. I'm more concerned about TSA and DHS than gas prices. But if they keep going up, supply chains might be affected. And it's hard for people who are struggling already. Listen, I agree. And they're not going to keep on going up because there's a lot to be done. You know, right now people are complaining about, you know, fertilizers for the farmers, and Trump is going to handle that. You know, the gas is going to be handled as well. I mean, you know, now that everybody's together, they're just going to, one of the things Fetterman said that they're playing a weekend at Bernie's with the Ayatollah's son. Where the hell is he? Nobody's seen him. You know, they're going to uncover that he's really dead, and they're going to get rid of this last gasp of air. You know, all right, so it's going to take 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, and Trump said that from the beginning. But this is a big lift. But once it's done, it's done. You know, it's done. And I think that they're all, you know, what helped to unify everybody was the hangings that happened of those three young people, especially that 19-year-old soccer player. Here in Hawaii, I'm seeing so many flips in party affiliation. I'm being asked what they should do to save the elected position. I'm laughing my ass off. You know, so are they Democrats flipping to Republican because they are changing their ideology, or are they flipping to Republican to eat it up from the inside? I know we're having problems with that in South Carolina. And I think that I know Colleen has saw it in North Carolina. They stand for the enemies of America. They do. Okay, I'm going to give you one more from Fetterman. This is interesting. Listen to him.
So do you know what Democrats stand for? See who's running for the Senate. And now Plantner, the Nazi tattoo guy, you know, on top of being an avowed communist, and now said incredibly offensive things about women and sexual assault, and now refers to rural people as stupid and racist. Also in Michigan, too, a guy that really, as far as I know, has refused to condemn Hamas. And he led the, you know, uncommitted.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're not going to vote for Kamala Harris. And now they helped deliver Trump for Michigan. So that's like, look who's running and look who's being competitive. So that's, you want to know where Democrats are, look in those kinds of races.
And it's true. You need to look at those races, and the fact that more and more Democrats are becoming anti-Semites or showing their anti-Semitism is not surprising to many of us, right? Because we know that, you know, the Democrats are the party of slavery. We know that the Democrats are doing the soft racism thing with, you know, injecting men into women's sports. And, you know, saying that women are too stupid to know where their birth certificate is, and that blacks are too stupid to know how to get a birth certificate. So, you know, you got to look at who's winning to understand. Now you got this Tallarico guy who is out of his fucking mind. And I wish Fox News would stop giving him airtime. But the guy is literally, I mean, he's psychotic. He is not all there. He's a vegan. No, I'm not a vegan. You know, I'm a man of God, but God is, what did he call it? God is non-binary. It's really, really, really scary. It really is. Let's see. Haven't heard a word about ICE since the war, right? Yeah, that's true. Because ICE is, you know, I mean, they're funded, but, you know, we now have, what's his name? Mark Wayne Mullins got one step further to being appointed as the head of DHS. So right now, you know, the Democrats will just say anything, do anything, and cause as much pain as possible to try to get it back in power. I just pray, God, that we are not so Americans aren't so manipulated to believing that, what you just said and not what the history is. Congress is useless and it's getting frustrating. Congress is horrific. We need to get rid of all of them and start over. Let me say, America doesn't specifically target civilians, neither does Israel, but Iran does and murders their own 1,000 liberals, so silence is deafening. Well, but that's what he said. That's exactly what Fetterman said. We're just, the Democrats are not taking up for, and if you look at, there was an interview of him with Caitlin from CNN, and she was going, saying about, the Americans may have bombed an all-girls school, and it still may have, because there is no proof that we did. Okay, there's an investigation ongoing, but that didn't stop the press from running with it, right? But they never said shit about 35,000 protesters in Iran being killed by the Ayatollah. Never said shit about that, right? They don't say shit about, all of the women and Americans being killed by illegal migrants, right? They don't say shit about it. So, the whole thing is just it's infuriating. I think Bloomberg is the only one who went right to left. You mean news? I think they all did. Bloomberg was never conservative. I don't think so. They are flipping because of no district support anymore for their views. Now the donations are getting low. So they're flipping because Republicans are gaining steam then. Hawaii is turning red, and that's why elected officials are scrambling for votes. Whoa. Oh, I hope what you're saying is true. I mean, you would know, Santillion. I trust you. Someone's saying what the Democrats stand for. They don't stand for anything. Okay, the Democrat Party is dead, and the Republican Party is right there with it. It's coming up right along. MAGA is the new, I'm not even going to say the new Republican Party. It's just the new party. The Democrats are woke, and they're infiltrated by the Muslims and the socialists. So let's be clear about that. So if you ask me what I see in the future, if the Republicans don't get their shit together, I see that we're going to have socialists. I see that we're going to have independents. I think that we're going to have the MAGA or patriots, and I think that we might have blue dog Democrats, but I don't know what they'll call themselves. It really is infuriating. Oh my God. Yeah, it really is. All socialist stands for the same. Nazis to the right of socialism and communists to the left. Both need to blame to get power. They kill each other. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, history shows you. I mean, he went from Republican to Democrat. Everyone else goes the opposite way. No, he didn't. He never was. Unfortunately, I was the one that gave him that endorsement, Bloomberg. He promised he would be a Republican, but he went back on that and then became a Democrat again. Democrats, majority rule, anarchy. Yep, exactly. All right, I'm way, way late as usual. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for taking the time. I'm going to be here tomorrow too, I think, because I'm still laid up. I don't know what this is. They said it was a kidney infection, but I'm not getting any better. So right now I'm masking the pain with a whole bunch of creams and ointments and everything else. So say a prayer for me. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and drop some comments there, please, because I took a little break for illness. I'm winding up with losing people, and we're so close. We were so close. I think I had 802, so we only need 198 more to get monetized and pushed out. I don't care about the money. I care about getting pushed out. But now we're back down. I think that we need 200 people. So help me out there, or share my YouTube link with a friend. Hawaii Republican Party is silent, no losing donations because people like me left. Hawaii Republican Party is silent and not losing donations because people like me left. I'm not sure I understand that. Maybe it's medication, but I'm not following that. Good night, all. Thank you and have a good night. Thank you. I will feel better. I'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock. All right.